Welcome back to the Quantum Soul. Ever feel like you just know something but can't quite explain why?
Yeah,
Like you get this hunch or a gut feeling, and it turns out to be right.
totally.
Well, get ready, because
Uh-huh.
today's deep dive is all about intuition. That mysterious inner voice we often brush off as just a feeling. We're going to uncover its power and how you can actually train it.
It's pretty amazing, actually. Intuition isn't some magical gift.
Oh, right.
It's a natural brain function, a kind of rapid subconscious processing we can all tap into. Our source material breaks it down really well.
So no mystical mumbo-jumbo. There's
Yeah.
actual science behind it.
Absolutely. Think of a doctor who can make a snap diagnosis,
Oh, yeah.
or a chess grandmaster who sees a winning move in an instant.
Right.
It seems like magic, but it's years of experience and pattern recognition all coming together in their brains.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
But if it's happening subconsciously, how do we access it?
Right.
Make intuition work for us, not against us.
That's where the P.E.S deck comes in. This deck of 25 cards with these simple symbols. Okay. It's designed to help strengthen both your intuition and concentration, which, as the source explains, are totally intertwined.
Hold on, concentration.
Yeah.
What does focusing my mind have to do with intuition?
Okay, think of it this way. A scattered mind is like a choppy lake, right?
Okay.
Can't see clearly beneath the surface, but concentration calms those mental waters and your intuition can shine through.
Got it.
And the P.E.S deck, with its simple symbols, helps cut through all the mental clutter and distractions so you can tap into that deeper level of awareness.
So it's like a mental workout for my intuition.
Exactly.
I'm intrigued, but also a bit skeptical. How can simply working with these cards actually boost my intuition in a way that actually impacts my everyday life?
Oh, that's the exciting part.
Okay.
The source material says a sharpened intuition can lead to better decision-making in your career. It can even boost your creativity.
Wow.
You're trusting your gut feelings more, making choices with more confidence. You even start spotting opportunities that other people might miss.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, what does the source say about how the PES deck exercises actually work?
Yeah.
I mean, how do these simple symbols unlock this deeper level of knowing?
It's pretty cool, actually. The deck's simplicity is its strength. By minimizing distractions and focusing on basic symbols, it encourages your mind to rely on feeling and intuition rather than overthinking. You're essentially bypassing the logical part of your brain and tapping into something deeper.
Okay, I'm starting to see the connection.
Yeah.
So it's not about the symbols themselves, but about how they help us bypass our logical minds
Right.
and tap into that subconscious knowledge.
Exactly. You're training your mind to recognize those subtle whispers of intuition that we often ignore or dismiss.
This is fascinating. It's like we're uncovering a hidden superpower. But before we go any further, I think it's important to define what we mean by intuition.
Yeah.
We've been using the term a lot, but what exactly is it?
You're right. Let's define it. In the simplest terms, intuition can be described as a form of instinctive knowing or understanding without the need for conscious reasoning. It's that feeling of knowing something without being able to explain how you know it.
So like that gut feeling we all talk about.
Yeah, exactly. It's a knowing that comes from a deeper place within us, often bypassing our logical mind and presenting itself as a feeling, a hunch, or even a sudden insight. And while it might seem mysterious, research suggests that intuition is deeply rooted in the workings of our brains.
Interesting.
Scientists believe it involves rapid processing of massive amounts of information, drawing on past experiences, patterns, and subtle cues that our conscious mind might not even register.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like our brains are working behind the scenes,
Uh-huh.
gathering data, making connections we're not even aware of.
Exactly. Intuition is one way that subconscious processing manifests in our conscious experience. The more we pay attention to those intuitive nudges, the more we can harness that incredible power.
This is really making me think differently about all those times I've just known something without being able to explain why.
It's about recognizing that our intuition is a valuable source of information and not just some random feeling to dismiss.
Okay, so how does all this tie back into the PES deck?
Well, with its simple symbols and focused exercises, it provides a framework for training and strengthening our intuitive abilities. By working with the cards repeatedly and paying attention to our intuitive hits and misses, we can develop a stronger connection with that inner knowing. It's like a workout for our intuition. The more we practice, the stronger it becomes.
I love that analogy. So by practicing with the deck, we're essentially strengthening our intuitive muscles, making them more responsive and reliable.
Exactly. And with consistent practice, we can become more attuned to those subtle whispers from our subconscious, allowing our intuition to guide us in more and more areas of our lives.
This is also fascinating. It feels like we're just scratching the surface of this incredible human potential.
We are. And the journey of exploring and developing our intuition is a deeply personal and rewarding one.
I'm so excited to dive deeper into this with you. But before we do, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the practical steps involved in working with the P.E.S. deck.
You ready to start working with this P.E.S. deck?
Absolutely. I'm ready to unlock this hidden superpower.
All right.
But let's get practical. You mentioned setting the stage for a successful practice session. What does that look like?
It's like creating a sanctuary for your intuition to kind of emerge.
Right.
Find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed for at least like 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
Dim the lights, light a candle if you like that kind of thing, and get rid of any distractions.
Right.
Phone off, no visual clutter, that kind of thing.
So it's like creating a mini meditation retreat in my own home.
Exactly. You're shifting your mental state from that busyness of daily life to a place of stillness and receptivity.
That makes sense. What about mental preparation? Any tips there?
Oh, yeah. Taking a few moments to center yourself before you begin can make a huge difference. Simple, deep breathing exercises are incredibly effective.
Okay.
Inhale slowly and deeply through your nose, hold for a count of 4, and exhale slowly through your mouth.
Right.
Do that a few times, just focusing on the rhythm of your breath.
It's amazing how something so simple like breathing can really shift your energy and bring you into the present moment.
It really can. And don't underestimate the power of setting a clear intention.
Okay.
Before you even touch the cards, take a moment to state your intention for the practice, either silently or aloud. Something like, I am open to receiving clear, intuitive guidance.
Okay.
Or I trust my inner wisdom.
Intention setting is so powerful. It's like you're giving your subconscious mind a clear direction and inviting your intuition to guide you.
It's aligning your conscious and subconscious mind, creating a unified focus for your practice.
Excellent. So I've created a peaceful space. I'm mentally prepared. Now what? How do I actually start working with the P.E.S. deck?
There are a bunch of different exercises you can do with the deck, but let's just start with a simple one.
Okay.
Hold the deck in your hands, close your eyes, take a few more deep breaths to center yourself. Focus your attention on the question or situation you want guidance on.
Okay.
Maybe it's a decision you're facing or a problem you're trying to solve.
Right.
Or you just want to connect with your intuition. Just hold that question in your mind.
Got it. Holding the question, feeling into it. What's next?
Now, while you're holding that question in your mind, shuffle the cards a few times. As you shuffle, pay attention to any subtle sensations, maybe a tingling in your hands, a feeling of warmth or coolness, a sense of knowing about a particular card. These are all potential signals from your intuition.
Oh, this is where it gets really interesting. So I'm not just randomly picking a card. I'm trying to tune into my intuition to guide me to the right one.
Exactly. It might take a little practice to start noticing these subtle cues, but the more you practice, the more attuned you'll become to those whispers from your subconscious.
I love that image of whispers from our subconscious. Feels so mysterious and exciting.
It is. Now, once you feel a sense of knowing about a particular card, stop shuffling and fan the cards out face down in front of you. Take your time, let your hand kind of hover over the cards, see if you feel drawn to a specific one. Don't overthink it. Just trust your initial instinct.
Okay, feeling my way through the cards. It's amazing how many thoughts run through my head, even though I'm trying to stay present. Is this the right one? What if I miss this signal?
That's totally normal.
Yeah.
The mind loves to jump in and analyze, but just observe those thoughts without judgment and gently guide your attention back to your body and intuition.
Okay, deep breaths, back to the felt sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think I'm drawn to this one. What do I do now?
Flip the card over and take a look at the symbol. Take a moment to connect with the symbol and see what feelings or thoughts come up.
Okay.
Don't worry about interpreting it literally. Just allow yourself to intuitively connect with its energy.
Okay, this is where my skepticism kicks in again. How can a simple symbol provide guidance or insight?
It's a good question. The symbols themselves aren't supposed to be literal interpretations.
Okay.
They act as triggers for your intuition, helping you bypass your logical mind and tap into a deeper level of knowing. The meaning you get from the symbol will be unique to you and your situation.
Okay, I'm willing to keep an open mind. Let's say I've drawn a card, connected with the symbol, and received an insight. What are some practical ways I can apply this newfound intuitive wisdom to my life?
The applications are huge.
Okay.
Let's start with decision making.
Okay.
Imagine you're facing a tough choice
Right.
in your career or personal life. Instead of getting stuck in the pros and cons, you could use the insight from the card to get clarity and make a decision that feels right with your values and desires.
That would be so helpful. I've definitely spent way too much time overthinking decisions,
Yeah.
getting stuck in my head, feeling totally paralyzed.
That's a common struggle. But when you trust your intuition, decision-making gets easier and more aligned. You're not just relying on logic or external advice, you're tapping into your own inner compass.
It's like you have an inner GPS guiding you. What other areas of life can benefit from a strong intuition? The source mentioned creativity. Can you talk about that a little more?
Absolutely. Creativity is another area where intuition plays a huge role. Think about artists, musicians, writers.
Yeah.
They often talk about their creative process as being guided by inspiration, by a feeling or vision that seems to come out of nowhere.
So they're channeling something from a deeper source.
Exactly. And that source is their intuition. By cultivating our intuition, we can all tap into that same wellspring of creativity.
Wow.
Whether we're writing a song, painting, or even just coming up with new solutions at work.
I love that. It's like we all have that creative spark inside us, and intuition helps us fan the flames.
It really does. And the benefits go beyond just decision-making and creativity. Intuition can even help us in our relationships. Have you ever just had a gut feeling about someone that turned out to be true?
All the time. Sometimes I just know if I'm going to connect with someone or if a situation feels off.
That's your intuition working. It's picking up on subtle cues, body language, energy, things our conscious mind may not register. By paying attention to those intuitive nudges, we can navigate relationships with more awareness and authenticity.
It's like having this extra layer of perception, a way of seeing beyond the surface. So it sounds like developing our intuition can benefit us in pretty much every area of life.
It truly can. It's all about reclaiming that innate wisdom we all have,
Right.
that inner knowing that can guide us toward a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
I'm so inspired by this conversation. It feels like we're on the verge of something really powerful. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I think it's important to address the elephant in the room, skepticism. I know some people are going to think this sounds a little woo-woo or far out. How do we address that?
It's a great point. Skepticism is healthy. It makes us question and think critically. And it's important to remember that intuition isn't about getting rid of logic or reason. It's about using both.
Okay.
Think of it as expanding your toolbox. You've got logic, analytical skills. Now you're adding intuition to the mix. It's about accessing a deeper level of wisdom that can help you with your decision-making, creativity, and relationships.
So it's not about ignoring logic. It's about expanding our understanding of how our minds work and embracing the full spectrum of our human potential.
Exactly. And remember, intuition is a skill that can be developed with practice. The more you use it, the stronger and more reliable it becomes.
That makes sense. So for people who are still skeptical, what's the best way to approach this? Do you have to believe in intuition for it to work?
You don't have to believe in it to experience its benefits.
Okay.
Think about learning a language or a musical instrument.
Okay.
You might not believe you can do it at first, but with practice you see results. Same with intuition. Just start paying attention to those gut feelings, those intuitive nudges that you might usually ignore. Notice what happens. Do those feelings lead you in the right direction? The more you acknowledge and validate your intuition, the more you'll start to trust it.
It's like building a relationship with that inner voice, learning to recognize its language and trust its guidance.
Beautifully put. And remember, exploring and developing intuition is a personal journey. What works for one person might not work for another. The key is experimenting, finding what clicks for you, and trusting the process.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. We've covered so much.
Right.
From the science behind intuition to how to work with the P.E.S deck. But before we wrap up, I'm curious about the challenges people face when trying to develop their intuition. What are some common roadblocks?
Right.
And how can we overcome them?
One of the biggest is just trusting your intuition. We're so used to logic and reason, it's easy to just ignore those intuitive nudges.
Right, especially if they go against what our rational mind is telling us.
Exactly. So first, you got to start recognizing those intuitive whispers.
Okay.
And see them as a real source of information. The source even recommends keeping a journal to track those intuitive hits and misses. Pay attention when you get that strong gut feeling. See what happens. Does it lead you in the right direction? The more you acknowledge your intuition, the more you'll start to trust it.
It's like building that relationship with that inner voice, learning to recognize its language and trust its guidance.
Exactly. Another challenge is fear.
Oh, yeah.
Fear of making a mistake, of what people might think, fear of the unknown. Intuition often pushes us towards new experiences and opportunities.
Right.
And that can be scary, especially if you're used to playing it safe.
So how do we get over that fear and let our intuition lead the way, especially if it's urging us to do something that feels risky?
It starts with recognizing that fear is natural. It's part of the process. Acknowledge Acknowledge those feelings. Don't let them stop you. Intuition is often about taking a leap of faith. We're trusting that inner knowing, even when you don't have all the answers. The source even talks about entrepreneurs who followed their gut, even when logic said otherwise.
Right.
And they ended up wildly successful.
It's like that saying, feel the fear and do it anyway. But sometimes it's hard to know, is this my intuition or just wishful thinking?
Yeah.
How can we tell the difference?
That's a great question. Intuition usually comes as this quiet knowing, a sense of clarity or rightness. It doesn't usually come with a lot of mental chatter or emotional drama.
Right.
Wishful thinking, though, that's fueled by desire or fear.
Okay.
It's that voice in your head trying to convince you of something rather than a deep inner knowing.
So it's about paying attention to the quality of the feeling, not just the thought itself. That makes a lot of sense. What other challenges are there?
Well, there's distractions. We're bombarded with stimulation all the time. It's so easy for our minds to get scattered and overwhelmed. That's why it's important to make time for stillness and reflection. It's key for developing your intuition.
It's like trying to hear a whisper in a noisy room.
Exactly. You need quiet to really tune in. The source stresses things like meditation, mindfulness, spending time in nature.
Right.
These are all great ways to cultivate stillness and create a more receptive space inside. They help us quiet the mental noise so those whispers of intuition can come through.
So it's not just about the P.E.S deck. It's about creating a lifestyle that nourishes intuition.
Exactly. You're making choices that nourish your mind, body, and spirit. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There will be times you're super in tune with your intuition and other times it feels out of reach. Be patient, keep practicing, and trust the process.
That's such a great reminder. We're always evolving and our intuition evolves with us. It's not about being perfect. It's about staying curious and open to that guidance. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of intuition, what's one final thought you'd like to leave our viewers with?
Trust yourself. Trust that inner voice, that gut feeling, that sense of knowing. Your intuition is a powerful guide, a compass pointing you toward your true path. The more you trust it, the more it'll guide you towards a life that feels right, a life that reflects your deepest values and goals.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Trust yourself, trust your intuition, and get ready for an incredible journey of self-discovery. Thanks for joining us on The Quantum Soul. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to support this deep dive series. We've got 2 fascinating videos queued up for you on the screen, so choose your next adventure and keep exploring.